Shalom, shalom, shalom. Hi, everyone. I know it's been a long time, but welcome to Wow Equals Words of Wisdom number 37. Wow equals Words of Wisdom number 37. I just want to take the time to kind of talk a little bit about why I call it or refer to it as the fall feast season. We have entered into that. It starts as, for some people, depending on what calendar you're using, it starts as early as the end of September, and then it can flow staggered into kind of like the last week in October or the next to the last week in October, depending on which calendar you are using. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because it's a lot of questions that go on around uh, when we should um, observe the feast days. And some people, even are at the place where they feel like you can't celebrate them at all where we're living. And all of us are scattered all over the earth. Shalom, Sister Diamond. Welcome. Are scattered all over the earth, the people of Yah. And so I refer to it as the feast season because it's just that people are doing it over a span of time. So I refer to it as a season. Uh, all of us are at different points in our understanding in our walk with Yah. And we all have so much to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. We have a lot to do when it comes to the renewal of our mind. We have been sold a bill of goods throughout our lives. And so, as I have continued to, with all of my getting, get an understanding, I have um, really learned to celebrate the fact that other people are really trying to seek the face of Yah during these appointed times. I refer to the spring feast as the spring feast season as well, because the people of Yah are celebrating it in staggered amount of times. And I've come to the realization that it's about my heart. It is about my heart. It is about me seeking the face of the Most High Yah, for me ultimately receiving instruction from Him and really receiving teaching from Him, because the Ruach HaKodesh, the set apart spirit, is our ultimate teacher. He is our ultimate teacher, and He will bring us into all truth. And those of us who have been walking with the Most High Yah for a span of time, we already know that times and laws and seasons have been changed by man. And so, really knowing the exact date or time is really, up for conjecture or up for discussion or further study. And so, this is my third year, um, really observing the feast days, and I'm excited about it. We're coming into Sukkot for us, who are celebrating. Those of you who may be celebrating it or observing it or memorializing it um, this upcoming week, next week. Um, Happy Sukkot. For those of you who have already observed it last week or the week before, I pray that you had a blessed time in Yah. And in these last days, the things that we were able to do, quote unquote, normally in the past, now we're having to be even more creative. So some of us are following assemblies online as they are coming together and uh, observing the feast days. Some people are able to come together in small groups, and some people are observing, by themselves at home. Whichever way that you are able to do that, to observe the fall feast, you know, be thankful to the Most High Yah that you're able to do it. And like I said, all of us are at a different point in our understanding as to, um, when do you celebrate? What do you do when you celebrate? And, some people are just so afraid and so caught up in these different levels of understanding. And I know for me, like I said, I watched videos, I read, and I studied, and I and I prayed, and I finally just came upon. I actually used the for those of you who may have watched Kingdom Preppers channel. They have a YouTube channel, but they also have a wonderful website, and they put out a calendar every year, and that's the calendar that I used. And I prayed about it, and I found peace in my heart about using that calendar. I own a business. At the time, I owned a business and I worked two jobs. So I was, working in three different places at the time. So I was very much trying to get an understanding about the feast days. And like I said, first thing that I had to do is I had to unlearn a lot of things. I had to understand why about the traditional holidays or the pagan holidays, why I wasn't supposed to continue on in celebrating those days. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, which at that time I was calling it Resurrection Sunday, and all of those type of things, and really getting an understanding of all of these different days that were all across the Gregorian calendar. And once I started I started there. This is just my journey. I'm just sharing this with you. I'm not saying that anybody else's journey is right or wrong. I'm just sharing it what I did. And I spent about a year and a half coming away and understanding about the history of the pagan holidays and or what people would call the traditional holidays, and understanding the history and the origin of those days and what they all meant and what they all stood for. And once I got an understanding of that for myself, because once I, came out of the church and came into the knowledge of the truth and my eyes got open, I just said to myself, I didn't want to take anybody else's word for it. I didn't want to take anybody else's word for it. I didn't want to get any more secondhand information. I didn't want to be spoon fed anymore. Okay. I wanted to learn from myself. I wanted to get in the presence of the Most High Yah. And I wanted to learn what he wanted me to know. And I wanted to depend on him. And I didn't realize how much I was getting spoon fed. I had learned about these things from afar. I had learned about these things from afar. I had heard about Pesach. I had heard about, the Passover. And I had heard a little bit about it, what is referred to as, Sukkot, or sometimes it's called the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths. And I had heard a little bit about it, but it was always taught from a standpoint that it was about somebody else. And, I never really got an understanding about it. And especially when you've been taught that the Old Testament is done away with, and that you don't have to pay attention to it, and it has nothing to do with you, you tend to just really, you don't realize it, but you're ignoring, you're ignoring the Torah. You're ignoring the instructions of Yah. And so I went back and I just started praying and seeking the face of the Most High Yah. And I said, I want to know for myself. I want to know for myself. I want to read it for myself. I want to get an understanding for myself. I want to get peace for myself. I don't want to get spoon fed. I don't want to, hear it from some leader. I went through that, and I didn't realize how much I was getting spoon fed and how much I was following, people, and I wasn't really following, the word of Yah, the Torah, and the rest of Scripture. And so, as I sat down and learned about those holidays and what they really meant for myself, then that's when I made the decision that I was going to come away from, celebrating those holidays. And then it took me about a year to understand the Sabbath and the Shabbat, and what Shabbat stands for, and that it is a sign between the Most High Yah and his people, and understanding what to do and what not to do on Shabbat, and understanding how Shabbat is connected to the rest of the feast days, the rest of the appointed times. And so for me, that was the first feast day. And Shabbat is a feast day. We have a feast day every week. And that's the Sabbath day of rest. And we have a preparation day for that, just like we do for all of the rest of the appointed times. And I really wanted to understand that. And it took me about a year to understand the Sabbath day and what it really means to the Most High Yah, and how he wanted us to see it, and to have the right spiritual perspective and the right spiritual eye and the right spiritual ear when it came to the Sabbath day. And at the time, like I said, I was working in three different places. So it took me a while to transition away from that. So I did the best that I possibly could when it came to observing it. And I did a lot of repenting and a lot of asking for mercy, because I was, working on the weekends and things of that nature during that time, until I was able to stop working at that retail job and stop and really be able to set the Sabbath day apart. And then as I got more understanding and started reading, I started seeing how the Sabbath day is a bigger part of the other appointed times, the other feast days. And just like in the feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Booths, or Sukkot, there is a Sabbath on each end. There are bookend Sabbaths on each end of Sukkot. The first day of Sukkot is a Sabbath day. And then the last day, or the last great day, is observed as a Sabbath, or a set apart convocation. And so me having an understanding of the Sabbath day allows me to be able to have an understanding of what I should be doing on those bookend Sabbaths. Even the Day of Atonement, where it starts as a Sabbath the night before, and you observe it into the next day, and you function as you would on the Sabbath. So for me, learning about the Sabbath day first, and then having an understanding of that for myself, helped me to be able to understand the feast days. And then when I started wanting to, once I moved away from, celebrating the traditional holidays, and really wanting to understand how to, what the feast days were all about and what each of them meant, I started seeing that people were celebrating them at different times. And at first I was like, why? Why are they celebrating them at different times? And I started praying about it and seeking the face of the Most High Yah. And then I started learning that people were using different calendars. And then I really started understanding that the times and the laws were changed. And why some people were, going by the phases of the moon. Some people were using what is used on the Gregorian calendar. Some people were using different things to come to the place of where they were celebrating. But when I studied even all of that out, I was seeing that it was still happening at the end of September through October. So it's a staggered time frame. And then it's over a 3-week span of time. And so you're starting out with the Feast of Trumpets, and then the following week, you're usually going into the Day of Atonement, and then the following week after that, you're going into Sukkot. And so depending on which calendar you're using, or which way or method that you use to know when you're going to start, usually with the Feast of Trumpets, is usually how your staggered 3 weeks are going to be. And so I usually just greet people with, when they greet me and they're already, starting with the Feast of Trumpets or the Day of Atonement or Sukkot, I celebrate along with them. I greet them back with, Happy Feast of Trumpets, or, if they're observing the Day of Atonement or they're already observing Sukkot, I celebrate with them, and I respect when they are celebrating, and I rejoice along with them. And that is just my take on it. Because I'm just happy that they have come to the point of where they are in their understanding, and that their heart is turned toward the Most High Yah. And that's where I'm at with it. This is why I call it a season, because it's done over a span of time, over a season of time. And I've just made up my mind that I just wasn't going to get into the whole thing of this is when it's supposed to be done, and getting upset with people because they do it at a different time than I do. I just I just celebrate the fact that they are celebrating it at all. Or they're observing it or memorializing it at all, or recognizing it at all. And I know that where I'm at now is at a different place than even where I was last year this time. I can't even believe it's already, the fall feast season again. It seemed like it was just last year that I was saying, oh, I can't wait till next year, and next year is now. So that's why I call it the fall feast season. The main reason, because I know the people of Yah are going to be celebrating it at staggered times over a 3-week span of time for each set of people. And depending on when they start, it usually starts. I start seeing people posting online, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Facebook, whatever social media platform you may use, or whether you just share pictures with your loved ones and your friends. It usually starts around the end of September, and it'll go into, the next to the last week in October, or maybe even the last week in October, depending on when you start, is usually when you're going to finish. And so that's when and like I said, I use the Kingdom Preppers calendar. For a lot of us, we have jobs. You have to, ask for that time off, especially if you're planning on observing Sukkot. For me, this is my actual vacation time, or I call it staycation. And so this is when I close my business down completely, my school and my salon, and I close it down completely for 8 days. And so this is when I actually take my vacation time. And yes, you have to plan, and yes, you have to think about it. And I said this even last year, if you're going to do it alone, you're planning, by yourself, your planning is different. If you're going to do it with just your family, your planning is different. And if you're going to do it with other people, if they're right here in town, it's your preparation is one thing. If you're going to do it with people that are coming in from out of town, your preparation is different. And so these are the things that you have to think about when you're going to celebrate the spring feast season as well as the fall feast season. And so I just pray that those of us who are continuing in our walk with the Most High Yah, and that you are looking for more understanding, continue to seek the face of the Most High Yah. Be encouraged about your growth and where you are. I just want to encourage you in that, because sometimes people get a little discouraged. They look at other people and say, oh, I wish I was at that point. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Continue seeking the face of the Most High Yah. Trust in Yah with all of your heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all of your ways, acknowledge Him, so that He can direct your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes, but fear Yahuwah and depart from evil. And so that's what I know, that if I seek Him, and He said, if you are seeking wisdom, ask of Yah, and so I have learned to do that. And I am just so glad that I have. And I look back over the past 3 years when I first started observing the feast days, and I knew just enough to be dangerous. And I think about the things that I was doing, and my heart was really sincere. And I knew then, I was like, I need to go back and I need to study. I don't need to just jump into it just to be doing it because I see everybody else doing it. And I spent a whole year studying the feast days, and I don't know everything. I don't. I don't know everything. Some people may be looking at me now and saying, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But this is more just of me sharing, my personal experience, and just want to be an encouragement to the people of the Most High Yah. Because all of us have come into this part of our walk at different places and different levels of understanding. And somebody was patient with us. Somebody was patient with us. Somebody prayed for us. Somebody may have, explained things to us. And that's what that's how I choose to say it. So that's why when you see me with a shirt on that says False Feast Season, that's why. I want to get one for the spring. But it's my way of just kind of sharing why I call it that. And it is that we come into a season. And when you read in scripture, it really talks about, the harvest, and the ingathering, and we were very much an agricultural people, and really getting an understanding, the Feast of Trumpets and what that all meant. And the sounding of the trumpets. There were times where they were sounding the trumpets, and it was just to call the people of the Most High Yah together, the gathering of the assembly. Sometimes the blowing of the trumpet was a sounding of the alarm and a time of going into war. Sometimes it was so that part of the camp would start moving forward to the next location, really getting an understanding of what all of that was about. The Day of Atonement, a time of repentance, a time of self-examination, a time of offering the different types of offerings to the Most High Yah, and getting cleansed and getting atoned for their sins. And things that they had done that was a sin in the eyesight of the Most High Yah. Throughout the year, there was a time of corporate repentance, and all of that going into Sukkot, with it's a time of celebration, a time of celebrating the harvest and the ingathering of the harvest that was brought in. And the people came together and had a feast. And that last great day, that is a time of solemnness, once again, of the time of judgment that is to come. And look at how much judgment that we have seen amongst the people of Yah. and people, we are scattered across the earth. And I know I am grateful and thankful that he opened my eyes so that I can be able to get to this point of to just know and understand who he is and who I am in him. And so I'm just so grateful for this fall feast season. I'm grateful for the fact that, there were people who were here, you know, at earlier part of this year that are not named. You know, I don't know about you, but I've lost loved ones, you know, this year physically. They are no longer with us, no longer here. And because they have passed away. And the fact that we are still here and able to observe the Yah's appointed times is a blessing, is a blessing. And so just wanted to take the time to encourage you in that. And like I said, wherever you are in your understanding of Yah's appointed times, Passover, uh, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, uh, the Feast of Weeks, Wave Sheaf, okay, um, the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, Sukkot, also known as the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths. Continue to seek the face of the Most High Yah. And in this season, and with all you're getting, get an understanding. And all of us must make sure that we remain humble before the Most High Yah. Drive pride out of your life. I must continue to drive pride out of my life and understand that, he could have just took us out of here and said, this is a stiff-necked people and they don't deserve another chance. But he is giving us another chance. He is giving us another opportunity. He has given us another opportunity today. He has bestowed us with another level of new mercies today. And so, I just wanted to encourage you with that. Stay strong, be encouraged, don't give up, don't throw in the towel. Continue to seek the face of the Most High Yah. And we're going to be sharing, I'm going to be sharing live streams, hopefully, over, the next week. And hopefully I can be able to share our Sukkot observance with all of you. So I just want to thank you for joining me for Wow equals Words of Wisdom number 37. Why I call it or refer to it as fall feast season. So I just want to pray that you have a positive and powerful and productive day. Shalom.